Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are now listening to That Infernal Noise podcast, part of the Mental Health News Radio Network. Fuck yeah. Well, today I want to talk about liking yourself because historically, you and I have not liked ourselves for varying reasons. We can talk about a couple of them. But I kind of want to talk about... we have. But I kind of want to talk about where we have been on our journey to like ourselves, where we are currently, just things that we've done to like ourselves, even if we didn't realize that's what we were doing. And then possibly like some things that have stopped us, like that have gotten our way of liking ourselves. So, with that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 the lowest, 10 the highest, where are you on that scale with liking you?
Probably at a 6 or 7, because it's not middle ground, but it's not like all the time
You're
either.
feeling yourself all the time?
And I don't want to either. Because I had that false bravado for so fucking long. I don't like the way it feels.
Did you not like the way it felt because it was fake and it was false bravado?
Possibly, but I just
bravado?
I don't dig that vibe in general whenever somebody's just like all about them.
I think there's
really touting upon themselves and shit, like how great they are. I
don't think that's what a 10 of liking yourself is.
Well, I mean, that's what I associate it with, and it just...
Oh, so you may need to look at what your values mean, because everyone should like themselves out of 10.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I think there needs to be a good... It doesn't need to be 50-50, for sure, but
right.
I think there should be a level of humility in it. Because
I'm not saying...
you need to not be delusional enough to think that you like yourself at a 10. Because 70% is passing. You know what I mean? And I vehemently believe that. There's still certain things that I'm working on, because if I'm not working on them and I think I'm done... You know what I mean? Like, that's just where my head goes. And I know you think differently on that, but that's where my head goes.
Yeah.
Because if I say I like myself at a 10, that means everything's fucking hunky-dory and everything's exactly the way it should be. In my mind.
That's fair. And that's okay. Now I know that I need to find another scale. Because with me, I am damn sure not at a 10. I will say that right now with my whole chest. I'm not at a 10. I would say probably a 6 or 7 as well.
Because it's definitely not 50-50.
Yeah, no.
Anymore. I know it's more than that, but...
And when I say like, I mean to just like yourself. 100%. To like... And with this scale, when I say... you like yourself at a 10, I don't mean that you are full of yourself. I don't mean that that there's nothing wrong with you and that you have nothing else to work on. I'm saying that you like yourself enough to a 10 to do everything that you need to do to maintain and continue growing. I think you have the ability, or people have the ability, to like themselves and choose what's best for themselves. And that's part of liking yourself, I think. And that's what I mean by liking yourself to a 10. I don't mean that once you like yourself at a 10 that there's nothing else wrong with you or anything like that. I just mean I like myself enough to, like, I personally struggle with, I know it's going to sound gross, personal hygiene. I've said it here before. I'll say it all the time. I struggle with it. On top of it being a multi-step task, and it's a high effort task for me, it also comes with a self-worth. I don't deserve to take the hour it takes to fully shower and get ready. And there's things like that in my head where it's just like, it's just easier for you to not shower. It's easier for you to not take that time. So that's what I mean by liking yourself to a 10. Just to clarify, but I see what you're saying. And I don't ever want it to be like that, obviously. But so we're about the same. We've done a lot of work on ourselves. That bracelet is really cool. Sorry.
It's my fidget.
That's fair. What are some things that have... Okay, actually, before I do that, based on the clarification of my scale, does your answer change?
No. It'd be the same either way.
Okay. Do you... Now, with the clarification of what I mean by my scale, do you think that you will ever be at a 10?
I wouldn't rule it out, but I would seriously doubt it.
That's fair. What are some things that have stopped you historically from liking yourself?
There's a lot. Most of it is the shit that I've done in my life, like the choices that I've made with various people. A lot of it, well, that's the majority of it, actually. The rest of it is usually the shit in my head from other people and myself, the negative self-talk and the other shit that I've heard over the course of my years.
Yeah, because, like, I know that you've heard a lot of things, and I heard things like, oh, no one's ever going to love you like I do. You know, things like that. How could I
See, mine
go
was
against...
more, I was never going to amount to anything. I was never going to be this or that, or I'm just like...
so-and-so, fill in the blank.
And I've heard that several times.
So I know that I personally know of one person that has compared you to your father. Has anyone else besides that one person?
If I remember correctly, Mom did at one point too. But, you know, it's just, I don't know.
And that's fair.
Because that one,
that's a
one that
deep
stings.
One. Yeah.
Because it's just
That's...
like, really?
Sorry, I mean that's fair as in that is fair to be a point of why you wouldn't like yourself. Sorry, I didn't...
No, I got it.
I didn't want you to think like, oh yeah, that's fair. She totally should have said that. No, not what I meant. Sorry. God.
That wasn't even the worst thing that Mom ever said. So it
Yeah,
just
I know.
like that one it didn't hurt. That particular one did not hurt as much from Mom as it did from the other person that said it. And well, fuck, I might as well just say it. It was my ex-wife, and that was the definitive moment I knew I was done. And I've told you that.
Yeah.
Because once that was said, regardless of what she thought at the time or whatever, because I was not behaving to that extent, I don't think. There were negative things. I'm not going to say there wasn't.
Okay.
I was always there for my children.
And
I did not bail. My kids have known who I am since the day they were born.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to kind of pause and be like,
supported
hey,
the entire family myself
right,
from the moment they were born.
Right.
So
and that was
that's why that bugs me so much.
Yes.
But I knew at that moment, it was like, you are saying this
just to hurt
purposely,
me. Yeah.
just to hurt me.
Because you never met your father.
No.
And all 4 of your kids know who the hell you are.
Yeah.
So,
for better or for worse.
You know. So So things like that, things that are said, I completely understand that hurt people, and every single human being has their own lens of how they process everything and how they see the world. And like, there are certain things where I think that you're mad at me and you're just mad at work, or so everyone has their perception.
Or I had a fucked up dream and I'm just like trying to process it.
Yes.
I'm just quiet.
But even though people say shit out of their own hurt or whatever it is, it still doesn't make it easier to deal with the shit that you've received.
No, because I still hear it in my head. And not just from her. Like, in general, I hear various people's voices whenever it comes to me being in the Japanese culture. Mm-hmm. I hear one voice in particular with it. And you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, and then I think of the hypocrisy because of the certain things that other people are into and like all that stuff. And it's
people need to mind their business.
I'm having to come to peace with it in general because I don't care what anybody else is into.
No.
But people have opinions about the things that I'm into. So it's one of those double-edged sword kind of things.
There's a lot of things that people just need to realize that it's not for them and to keep their mouths shut when yucking someone else's yum.
And that's what I try to do, you know, like I've told you the story 100 times. Like the whole reason I talked shit about Batman for so long was because my friends would talk shit to me, and I knew that was the one thing that could get under their skin.
That's fair.
Even though Batman was my first superhero, my favorite superhero, like I wouldn't have gotten into comics and all that stuff if it wasn't for Batman.
Right.
But I also know how to push buttons, so
the hell you say. But
I think that's why it's so hard, because I have all those different voices in my head that whenever weird scenarios will come up, or say the kids are like Chris, he's been super busy because of work and all that stuff and everything with Patty and her being pregnant and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He hasn't had, like yesterday he came over randomly and
it was so
he was
nice
just
to
like,
see them.
I'm so sorry I haven't. I was like, dude,
don't.
You don't have to. And but in those moments, like before that, it kind of gets in my head
that they don't want to be around, that they
like
don't want to
I didn't want to be
visit.
around mom whenever I was younger. And it was valid. I'm not saying it wasn't, but and it would be for him as well. But
yeah, I don't think that's the case.
Those things start ticking off.
Yeah,
and I hear certain people's voices in the back of my head, and it irritates me at them all over again. Mm-hmm. So,
not the kids, the other people.
Not the kids. Okay. No, the kids. The kids are valid. Yeah. Whatever they feel, whatever they think, it's valid.
Yeah.
Other people don't get to have an opinion of it.
Agreed.
So,
I've realized that the more I try to counteract those things, it does get easier to do so. But when I first started trying to like counteract, like combat those negative thoughts, because that's what, anybody...
You have to replace the thoughts. You can't ignore them.
Right.
Because if you ignore them, they get louder.
Right. You can't ignore
It's like a
them.
fucking toddler. If the toddler's screaming and you just let them do it, they'll keep doing it.
They will. 1,000%. The hell is that?
That didn't sound good. It was that Jeep. I think it's the old girl across the street.
Well, it sounded like someone was dragging on the ground.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yes, you definitely have to replace those words and replace those kinds of thoughts. But what I realized when I first started trying to change my perspective about me, the negative and the mean part of my brain was so adamant of me calling myself a fucking liar. Calling bullshit on me trying,
You're faking it, like...
Yeah.
That's not really what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, so I would get the thought of, I fucked up again. I'm such a fucking idiot. And then, of course, you're supposed to go and be like, no, you're not an idiot. You're a human. You made a mistake.
And that's what I try to do, because you say that shit out loud all the time too. And I'm just like, no, it's not that serious. Like,
right.
Stop. You have to stop doing that. And I have to get on to Logan about that
right.
same shit.
And I feel horrible.
And that's why I try not to say stuff like that about myself out loud anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm noticed I'm having those thoughts less too, because I'm not saying it out loud anymore.
And that's fair. And that's something that I'm still actively working on, because, excuse me. Because immediately or historically, it'll be the initial negative thought, me trying to correct and replace. Mm-hmm. And then immediately the original voice coming back to being like, are you fucking kidding? Nice try. That's cute. Like.
Yeah, but that's Gemma. That's what that is. That's 100% what that is, because that's the type of shit she would pull on you.
Yeah.
And it's ingrained in there.
It is. It's one of those railroad spike wounds.
Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, you did that, but it's one of those things.
Yeah, and especially when it came to a lot of my stuff comes with my upbringing. I mean, that's what a lot of people's shit is, but specifically my mother. Mm-hmm. It was, she told me things like, no one's going to love you like I will. No one's going to be there for you. No one's going to
parenting.
No one's going to have your back like I will. Things like that. And then she would treat me the way she did. She would put me in situations that she did.
She would cause situations.
She would cause and manipulate situations, manipulate words. And then when it came time to me trying to stand up for myself, I was always shot down. I was always in the wrong for trying to set a boundary, for trying to stop behavior. I was always the bad guy, because how could I do that to my mother? And
how could your mother do that to their child?
No one has ever asked me that. Like, outside of you.
I'm about to say, I know I've asked that fucking question.
Outside of, like,
your therapist.
My therapist, yeah. But no, I mean, okay, hold on. Let me correct myself, because people that I have actually told stories to, they're like, wow, that's not okay. And I've gotten really lucky that a lot of people haven't told me, well, that's your mom, you need to talk to her. I've only had, like, one for sure, her friend that I don't remember, that used to call me on my birthday. I'm not going to say names, but you know the one. She was the first one to say, hey, call your mom, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, no, I will not be doing that. And I think that was the first time we stopped talking. No, it was the second.
I think it was the second.
It was the second. And I want to say, I think she's the only person. So I've gotten really lucky that I haven't gotten a lot of pressure of, oh, that's your mom, you need to talk to her, she's your family, blah, 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 blah. Because there are so many people that have to deal with that shit. Oh, blood's thicker than water. Learn the whole fucking phrase before you want to quote shit, first and foremost.
I don't give a shit about
because
blood.
It is... The blood of the coven is thicker than the water of the womb. Fucking learn your shit before you spout shit off.
Which means the hand-built family is more important
than the one you're born into.
But let's not.
I'm just saying. So for anyone who is dealing with shit like that, where it's like, oh, I have to get away from these toxic family members, and they're like, oh no, that's your blood. No, they're misquoting something.
No, and you should give opportunities for growth. I'm not arguing that, but whenever you've been shown that there is no chance of that,
yeah, and
you're met with the same combativeness and dismissiveness
and lack of accountability,
you can't do anything with that.
You can't.
They're not going to do anything until they decide to wise up, and they may never choose to do that.
Yeah, dealing with people and dealing with their emotions and dealing with navigating your own life and the way you view yourself and all of that is very, very it's like everyone's an addict. And I hate to compare everyone to addicts because I don't want to call everyone addicts because everyone is not an addict. But when it comes to personal accountability,
The
change,
mindset.
the mindset of that kind of change and showing up and telling people, you know what, you're right. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Or I'm sorry I did that to you. Or that was not my intent, but I'm so sorry I did that. I would never want to do that to you. Whatever the accountability and how that looks, people are not going to do that and give you consistent change until they are ready, until they see a problem with it, that's why I compare it so much to dealing with an addict, because an addict will not get clean and will not stay clean unless they want to. You can put someone in rehab. You can put somebody in a facility.
How many of like the wrestlers or whatever that we followed go through that?
Yeah.
You know, thank God more of them are getting clean now. But, well, the current wrestlers are not in that lifestyle, thank God. But the older wrestlers that we were into, a lot of them had substance and or alcohol abuse.
And an addiction of any kind. And this does... People need to work on their own shit. Because if you don't work on your own shit and work on your own shadows and take accountability for your part in your life, taking accountability for the wrongs that you've done, that's in turn, I think, one of the biggest and most helpful ways to start liking yourself.
I would agree with that because I didn't turn the corner on that until really the past year.
Yeah.
Because you have made me think about a lot of how my mindset worked, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
And I never really confronted the why. Why did I think like that? Why did I act like that? And I was under the impression that, well, it's just the way I am. Take it or leave it.
And that's not how we can function anymore.
It's not how I could function to begin with. It was fucked up. And you heard me struggle with it over the years, whether we were together or not.
Right.
With the alcoholism, with the womanizing, like all of that shit. You heard me struggle with it.
Yeah, I did.
And anybody that paid attention heard me struggle with it.
Or should have. But I don't think anybody else actually heard you.
Nobody else really gave a shit. But to just be blunt about it. Because if you did, things would have been done differently. And I say that for literally everybody.
Yourself included. I know that you...
I agree with that. Like, I didn't show up for myself. I didn't try to figure out what was wrong with me and why I thought I needed this external validation, why I thought I needed alcohol to be the guy that everybody liked.
Right.
I mean, I ended up being right about that because you remove alcohol and then everybody just kind of removed themselves.
And that's okay.
And it is, but...
It really is.
It also exacerbated that abandonment. It was just like, I did need to do that so everybody would want to be around me. And
those kinds of people wanted to be around.
Those people around me.
We need to find different people.
And it's incredibly frustrating and it's incredibly counterintuitive to trying to like myself and trying to just be good in my own skin. But I wrote the other day in my journal, the isolation in the past year has given me a level of clarity that I have never fucking had before.
Yeah.
Because I actually had to sit with myself and figure my shit out. Mm-hmm. I didn't have anybody to lean on, which I didn't before, apparently. And like, I really understand me now.
Yeah.
And that's why I agree with what you said. Like, once you start doing that work, it's easier to like yourself. Yeah. Because I have fought against it, and I've had to drudge up a lot of painful fucking memories that have been done to me and that I have done to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You and the kids being the most important in that. And I didn't like what I fucking found, but I knew I had to do it.
Yeah.
Because I knew I couldn't continue going on the way that I was.
Yeah. And that's fair. And mine is similar, but the opposite side of that coin, where it's you didn't show up for yourself in ways, and I definitely didn't show up for myself in different ways. And that's where we were similar. And instead of I allowed shit. I allowed so much shit.
I put people through shit mostly.
And I allowed it.
Which is why we fit together in a fucked up way, because essentially you just
took it.
Not just took it, but you enabled it in certain ways.
I did.
And I'm not throwing shade or throwing you under the bus, because I shouldn't have fucking acted like that.
Yes.
But I don't know. Like, I think that's why we sought each other out, because you saw somebody that, one, was like your mom, so it was familiar. Two, acted out and put everybody through shit. You take everybody's shit, so it just kind of...
It's a natural...
And it's fucked up, but that symbiosis, whenever you don't know how to break cycles yet, that's what you look for.
Right.
And we've talked about that 100 fucking times.
Right. Except with you, the only difference outside of every other relationship is that I felt something I have never felt with anybody else with you. That night at that show, like I have never felt that with anybody else. And so I think that is a small part of why I stayed and why I fought so hard for this, because I know you're special and I know that I'm special. I mean, I can say that now. I didn't realize it then, because I put everyone else on a pedestal and I don't put myself on a pedestal. I put myself under the leg of the pedestal.
You're holding up the pedestal.
Yes. It's a wobbly pedestal and I'm under the short leg, kind of holding it up.
Well, you're not tall, so you have to be the short leg.
Yes. I'm under the short leg. Like a stack of fucking, like Splenda or something. Like they do at restaurants, like equal under the one leg. Yes, that's me. But I think that it's been incredibly hard for me to realize that while I do allow a lot of stuff and I have taken on a lot, and regardless of how everyone has, I don't know, I don't want to say treated me, because not everyone is, it is, I'll just use the word treated. It has been so hard to realize that I still deserve human decency. And that has been incredibly hard. And since I never thought I deserved it and that I was always here to fix someone else's shit or be something or everything for someone else, it has been incredibly difficult to put that down, and that I don't have to do that for everyone, and that everyone's mood and essence is not mine to fix. That has helped in making me realize that I deserve decency. I don't have to put up with things that make me uncomfortable. I don't have to put up with things that have been thrown at me, have been forced upon me. Like the way Gemma made me her everything. And she wasn't the only one to do that. The ex of my high school ex that after his grandmother died, that was the reason I ended up leaving, is because he needed me to be things that I couldn't be at 17, 18 years old. He wanted me to be everything. And that has just been historically my gig. For better or for worse, you know?
Well, I mean, you're still that for me, but I knew you couldn't fix me from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Ah, okay.
Like, I knew that whatever needed to be done or fixed, it had nothing to do with anybody else. I had to do it.
Yeah.
And I told everybody that. And like, you're not fixing me. Like, I don't know how you think this is going to go, but I painted no rosy fucking pictures.
No, you did not.
I did the exact opposite. I tried to scare you away because I knew the shit show that I was. Because I had lived with it myself up until that point. And I knew it was not going to be fun. And it was probably going to end in fucking heartache. And it did. But it didn't end. Like, there's been a shit ton of heartache, but for whatever reason, it's worked. Like, we've made it work outside of that.
I wanted to be your constant. You haven't had a constant.
And that's why I'm never going anywhere. Because you're literally the only person that's ever done that for me. You're the only person that's actually listened to me, that's actually tried to help me figure myself out. And not by leading me, but something as simple as asking questions.
I'm a very curious person.
It trigger, you know how my brain works. If somebody asks me a question that I haven't thought of the answer to, that's the thing that consumes me.
Yeah.
And not necessarily, I mean, sometimes it's obsessive, but that's what I like. I like people challenging me. I like people trying to get me to think bigger. Because I already have a big imagination, or however you want to look at it.
Yes. You've always said you're the idea guy.
And if somebody can make me think of something that I haven't thought of, that's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
And then it starts a whole nother conversation. And then here the fuck I am. You know, like, I actually like myself now. Somewhat. Mostly.
That's good. It's been... Oh, and just for everyone, just throwing this out there, the questions of why you... Like, taking the time to ask yourself, why do I think that way? Where did that come from? That is shadow work. So if you've heard of shadow work and you don't know what it is, and
exactly what it is.
And people have told you that it's something evil or demonic, because I have heard people say that.
I have too, and
it's bullshit.
Dumb.
Because all shadow work is your dark parts.
It's understanding that
those dark parts.
Why do I do this negative thing? Why did I react this way?
Where does it come from? Where did it start? How can I fix it? How can I change it? How can I...
What's the thing that I don't like about myself? Okay, where did that come from? Okay, how do I fix it? That's like very...
Yeah. Where it's very much bringing light to those dark parts.
And accepting it.
And
that's the biggest part of all this. Like, I've had to accept, because I embraced my dark side way too fucking much whenever I was younger.
Yes.
I leaned into it because I thought that's all that there was for me.
Because everyone told you that you were a sack of shit and an asshole and that you weren't going to amount to anything. So you said, you know what?
You're right.
Bet.
Party on.
Party on Wayne. Party on Garth.
And I didn't give a fuck.
I know.
And then as I've gotten older, excuse me, fucking Big Red. As I've gotten older, I've realized I never wanted to be self-destructive. I just was, because I didn't have anything to lose. which was bullshit because
You had kids.
I had kids.
Yeah.
And that fucks me up to think of.
Yeah.
But I've realized that no, that's why. Like, you should get better because of them. You should stop drinking because of them. You should try to get in better shape. You should try to extend your life as long as you can so
To
you can
see
be there
them.
for them as long as they need you.
Yep.
And I think I said it before on the podcast. Once Chris and Patty said that they were having a kid, everything just fucking switched on for me. It's like, nope, it's go time now, bitches.
Yeah.
Because I had been stuck in this negative place of just death. And it was all consuming. It was all around me. I was constantly worried about it. And then as soon as they said that, it flipped. And it's like, this is the counterbalance. This is what my brain and my soul has been needing since all of this other shit happened.
Yeah.
I needed something good to bring me back. And that was it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's hard to see the good or the W when the monotony of life like makes your view hazy, because that shit happens to me all the time. It's just like, fuck, I gotta get up again.
See, that's the thing. Like, it was off and on before that, but since then, like, I don't give a fuck. Today's a good day. It does not matter.
Yeah.
And you've seen that because shit's gone sideways and I didn't react the way
Right.
that I had been.
Right.
And I didn't realize that until probably about 2 or 3 days after that money just...
Yeah.
And I didn't freak out. I didn't start losing my shit. I didn't get overly depressed or like any shit like that.
Yeah.
It was just like, fuck. All right. And that was literally the entirety of it.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I feel like I've turned a corner and I don't think it's wishful thinking anymore.
Right. I agree.
So,
Because it just seems to be a lighter...
and I'm not saying it's a permanent thing because I know it could come back and I know my brain could shift back and forth or what the fuck ever. I understand that, but I don't care.
Because you know how to navigate it a little bit better now.
It's
and
just,
you're not alone.
It doesn't matter. Like, the good stuff is going to be there, but it's going to go away. The bad stuff's going to be there, but it's going to go away. This too shall pass.
Yep. And that's
it's
good
not,
and bad.
Everybody ignores what that really means. They focus on
the bad
part going away. Like,
Yeah.
no, they mean both sides.
Yep.
You're supposed to understand that all of this shit is fleeting. The bad shit is fleeting. Yes, good. But the good shit is fleeting too. So enjoy both of them equally.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get one, you're not going to understand the other.
That's absolutely true.
And we've seen that happen. People that just live their lives in negativity to whenever something good fucking happens, they just like, oh, well, something's going to fucking happen anyway. And I was like that.
Yeah.
I was Al Bundy. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm not that anymore.
Yeah. You have turned a corner on just the outlook of life in general, I think.
And it doesn't feel like a lie anymore. Like before, it felt like I was faking it.
Yeah.
Now, it's just, no, like, yeah, this is how I feel. This is what I think. So I started thinking about shit in the shower. It was either today or the last time I took a shower. I don't remember. I think it was Thursday.
Yeah, day before yesterday, I think so.
And, you know, there's so many people that we know that, like, peaked in high school type shit. And I thought that about myself for a long time. Until I really sat back and looked at it the other day. I've done shit that people dream about doing in the course of my life and not thought twice about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've lived a fucking dope-ass life. I've got to meet people that I respected and revered, have conversations with these people. I've gotten up on stage even though I have a crippling social anxiety and performed in front of hundreds of people multiple times. And just, not everybody can say shit like that.
Right.
They just did what they were supposed to do. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I did, but I also did this other thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know why. It's something I wanted to do, so I did it.
I wish I had that. I'm terrified of everything.
We do this all the fucking time.
Yeah, but I'm not alone in it.
It doesn't matter. Like, it's still the same principle. You're still putting yourself out there in that same fashion. And this is way more exposed than anything musically.
But it's funny because I still struggle with making like TikToks because it's just me. And in my head, it's, who are you? You're not special. I still deal with that. It's like no one wants to.
Yeah, but you've already proven that wrong by people identifying with it or reaching out to you or what the fuck ever.
That's fair.
Like, that's happened multiple times.
It has.
It's not just once.
It's
fair. Not just one video. You know what I mean? Like, it's happened multiple times because you have a story and people identify with that. And the only way they're going to know they identify with that is if you put it out.
Yeah.
So it's like, as much as I want this to have like a chronicling of our lives so the kids can go back and hear it later, or the grandkids or whatever, I want it so people know that they're not alone. Because I've felt alone for the majority of my life. You've felt alone for the majority of your life. Mm-hmm. And we're not. Like, how many times have I been reading a book or listening to a podcast or whatever and be like, holy shit, this person, da-da-da-da, just like me.
Yep.
And I would have never known it had I not picked up that book, had I not listened to that podcast.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's shit like that that connects us all, and we've all lost sight of it, even though we're more interconnected than we've ever been because of social media, because of the internet, whatever the fuck.
Right.
And it's sad. And that's why I try not to put negative shit out. I only try to put positive because everybody else is doing negative shit. I'm not doing that anymore.
Like, even in the social media world, like, I've noticed that creators are now making, like, not hate, but hate towards other creators. See, I told you they weren't that kind of person. I told you that they weren't this kind of person. It's like, wait a minute.
Who are you to decide? You're not judge and jury, motherfucker. Like,
right. And then,
let
like,
that shit go.
And, like,
you can have opinions about stuff.
Oh,
and be
yeah.
like, oh, see, that shit fucking weird, but
there's an
why?
Yeah, there's an influencer that I follow. She does makeup, and she just started her own skincare line. She had makeup lines before this, but her husband, and I told you about it. Her husband is an addict and recently got out of. Yeah. But like, and she's been doing like updates, and because people have been asking, and you know, but then she made a video and was like, there's been so much hate in my updates that I don't want to do them anymore. And it's like, these people are banking on her marriage to fail, for her line to fail, for her to fail. It boggles my mind because it makes me take a step back and be like, all those people are fucking hurting. Like, deal with your shit. And then you wouldn't have time. You wouldn't
even think to try to tear somebody else down.
Because you know what? There have been plenty of content, video, whatever, that I haven't agreed with. I don't think are funny. You know what I do? I fucking keep scrolling.
That's it.
Or I'll talk shit about with you. Like, I'll be like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's completely different than putting somebody on blast and acting like your opinion has some valid weight in their life.
And just fucking I'm not putting that hate out there. I don't
I
talk.
try not to have hate in my life, period, anymore.
Right. I mean, okay.
I've had enough hate in my life to where I'm paid up until I drop.
Fair.
I'm being dead honest.
Fair.
Because I spent every day of my life, every waking moment, hating something, angry about something, like whatever. And that shit's exhausting.
Yeah.
And I don't have it in me anymore.
Yeah.
I choose apathy. I choose ambivalence towards shit like that.
Yeah.
Yes, I still get pissed off whenever I'm driving and people drive like fucking assholes.
Yeah.
It is a fleeting moment, and it is a moment. It does not dictate
You're not
the rest of
following
my
these
day,
people 10 miles out of your
which
way.
I used to fucking do shit like that. Just to scare them. Because fuck you, that's why.
You did something wrong to me. I'm going to do something
stupid
wrong to you.
Shit. It's just dumb as fuck. If I see people that I don't agree with and they're saying heinous shit about immigration or
Anything.
transsexuals, homosexuals, what the fuck ever, I'll usually give them a pass or two. But if I see that it's a consistent thing, they're gone. I'm not watching this shit happen on my fucking feed.
Yeah.
I don't have time for it. Oh, well, you're supposed to talk. Like, no, I'm not starting a dialogue with fucking morons.
Yes.
I'm not doing it.
There's a level of...
There's a cognitive dissonance in this fucking country that everybody thinks their opinion is the one that fucking matters and that everybody else is fucking dumb and wrong.
Right.
I see all sides. I don't fuck with certain sides. If Hitler came back today, I'm not going to be like, well, maybe I should hear him out. I'm not fucking listening to that. The Cheeto's bad fucking enough. I'm not
It's close
putting
second.
myself through that shit.
Right.
I keep myself aware of things,
Yeah.
but I don't fuck with it
Yeah.
because that's not... My opinion's not going to change shit about anybody's mindset or anything like that. If you want to be an adult and have a real conversation instead of just spouting dumb shit that you regurgitated from somebody else, instead of forming your own opinions and doing the research and talking to people of said ilk, I don't respect your opinion. I don't.
Agreed.
Because I have trans people in my family. I have homosexual people in my family.
Queer people.
Immigrants.
like
all of it.
all of it, yeah.
And I had to wise the fuck up. Because I was very myopic about shit for a very long time. And not in a hateful way. It just, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So it was, that's just not real. And it was very dismissive, which is just as bad as outright hate, in my opinion. And now...
You've learned.
I've had to learn.
Yep.
Because people that I care about are that way. And I do not stop caring about people because they think differently than I do.
Right. And the thing is that you don't...
This took a turn.
It did. But it all goes back to liking yourself and liking where you stand in this world. Because when it comes to the hate and all the negativity that we are exposed to on the daily, we have options. And that's what people don't realize. You can block, you can delete,
you can get off of fucking
you can
social
fucking
media,
keep scrolling.
whatever. But everybody has a voice and everybody uses that voice to bitch. I choose to use my voice to try to make people know they're not alone.
Yeah.
To try to give people something to gravitate to and understand that this sucks. It sucks for all of us. But if we're together, it doesn't suck as bad.
Right.
If we have people that we identify with and we see ourselves in, things aren't as bad. That's the shit that got me through the majority of my teenage years. Seeing Kevin Smith and watching Mallrats and be like, dude, that's me and my friends. And I'd never seen something like that before. Or hearing Corey Taylor talk about his upbringing in his first book.
Right.
I thought I was alone in some of that shit. And he, to a much more fucked up scale, but he went through the same shit that I did.
Right.
I wouldn't have found that.
Right. And that's part of the reason why I do like social media is that I mean, by and large,
it has the potential to be the greatest thing ever.
Right.
It's people that fuck it up.
Yep.
It's just like anything political, anything religious, whatever. It's a good idea until the wrong people get their hands on it, and then they distort the whole thing.
Right. I just think that when it comes to things that scare us, make us feel doubt in ourselves, those things are harder to deal with or harder to do. And a lot of people don't want to do this ugly shadow work. A lot of people, it's scary to a lot of people.
It is scary.
It is scary.
I say that
It's
as somebody
terrifying.
that's in the fucking middle of it. It
terrifying.
sucks. It's terrifying to figure out what else is going to be unearthed in my fucking brain. Now, luckily, I think most of the fucking skeletons are out of the closet. So it's not as overwhelming. But for a while there, it's just like I wasn't realizing how much shit I had stored away.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I hadn't thought about that. And how many times do you hear me say, I hadn't thought about that in 10 years?
Yeah. Long time.
Or whatever. And it's just, it's overwhelming, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
To have my kids not fear me anymore. To have my kids comfortable with telling me to go fuck myself. Well, not
in those words.
But essentially, like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, they would have never done that before.
That's fair. Because
they were terrified of me. And now they're not. Logan will fucking fight with me all the fucking, well, maybe. It's like, motherfucker. But it does make me feel good at the same time. Noe has no problem talking shit. And Noe's even let a couple rip on me and be like, oh shit. And I'm like, it's okay.
You're good.
Bring it back a little bit. Still my kid, but.
What do you think, for you personally, what is something do you think that you can do to help you like yourself more?
Consistency.
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a
because
great
that's
one.
the biggest thing I've had a problem with in the course of my life. Because
Same.
I get in my own head about
Same.
shit. Now it's just like I haven't thought about the exercise that I'm doing. I just do it. I notice, like, okay, I have some downtime with work. Let me get my steps in real quick. And if I don't get them that hour, I'll make them up the next hour and not think twice about it.
That's good.
It's not overwhelming. I'm not obsessing over it. And it's just easier. I'm not beating myself up because I don't meditate every day anymore.
That's good.
I meditate whenever I have time.
And when you need it.
Oh, excuse me. But I'm trying to also do it whenever I don't need it.
That's fair.
Because, like, sometimes in the morning I just do it for, like, a reset, recenter, so I can focus.
Yeah.
Because doing it whenever I just need it, like, I have to do it so I'm not crawling out of my skin type thing.
Right.
It doesn't work as much unless you've exercised that muscle on a regular basis outside of that. You can't just do it in times of crisis. And I think the same thing with prayer. You can't just do prayer in times of crisis.
That's fair.
You have to be grateful for everything before that. Because if you're only focusing on the negative shit, you're only perpetuating the negative shit. If you're grateful for the good things, that means you're perpetuating the good things too.
Yeah.
Then that's why I say it's consistency. I like doing those things. I like taking the time to journal. I do beat myself up for not journaling as much, but that was last month. I've been consistent so far this month, which it's only the third, but
That's fair.
But that's the main thing. Noticing that I've been more consistent has given me more confidence.
That's something I need. That's something I need to work
Because
on.
I'm showing myself, you can do this. It does seem insurmountable. It does seem like whatever the fuck, but you can do it. You're doing it.
Yeah.
And granted, yesterday I was fucking exhausted by the end of the day, and I was like, I can't wait for the weekend so I don't have to put my body through whatever the fuck, and I can just relax my muscles, but that's a different thing.
That's fair.
What about you? See, you asked the question and then you didn't even think about what your answer would be.
Well, no, because I have more work to do.
We all have more work to do.
No, I mean, when it comes to this stuff, I think I have a little more work to do when it comes to consistency, because I am horrible. And I don't know if I'm just going through something right now, but I can't even say that because it's been my whole life, where I'm not as consistent on taking care of my body, taking care of my hygiene, taking care of,
You act like your hygiene's way out of control, and it's not.
No, I'm not saying I'm like a gross person.
That's my point, though. You're still doing the things to not be a gross person, so you have to give yourself credit for that. You're consistently working. You're consistently taking care of me and the kids and the house and the dogs and da-da-da-da-da-da. But you don't see those as being consistent.
No, because they're not working on me.
I understand that, but if you can do that,
yeah,
you can do the other too.
I think
it's harder to break that wall down because of all the shit you've been through.
Well, that, and mostly it's because I do all the other stuff, I don't want to do the stuff for me. That's also a factor, because I'm just like, I don't want to. I've already done things. I don't want to do more things. And that's something I need to do. But also, another thing that would be helpful for me is doing the things even though I'm scared. Like posting TikToks or making content. But another big thing would be for me to do things that... to do them in spite of me being scared of them. Earlier I talked about me being uncomfortable. Like, I'm still kind of scared about posting TikToks every day. And, you have to do that in order to get a following. We have to record episodes and put them out consistently to get more of a following. We have to do all the things but even though I'm terrified to do it, and then I have those negative things come in my head, like who cares what you have to say, like those kinds of things. I think in doing those things anyway, it'll help my confidence.
Rewire your brain.
Right. Because I do want to do comedy one day. That is something I want to do.
I'm not laughing at you.
I know. You're laughing at our dog.
Smacked Ez in the face with her tail repeatedly, and Ez was just sitting there gnawing on the bone. Sorry. That was really bad timing.
But I really do want to do comedy one day. I've wanted to be a stand-up comic for a long time. And I'm terrified to do that. I'm terrified that I just said that out loud. I'm terrified that one day I may end up on a stage with a microphone and a fucking spotlight in my face. And people in front of me.
Oh, it's not a spotlight.
Oh, it's like 3 or 4. Yeah, I know. Hi, my girl. You're being the sweetest. I know.
That's not being sweet. Hey,
nope.
Sit down.
Can you say hi? Okay, get down. I'll hold your hand. Come on. Give me your hand. You want me to scratch your butt. But I do want to do comedy one day, and I don't know that I can actually get on a stage if I don't work on this kind of stuff first.
You won't be able to. I can tell you that right now. I mean, I know it's not exactly the same thing, but the thing that terrified me the most about music was getting on stage.
Yeah.
Because I can write all day. I can record all day. It's the literal act of putting yourself out in front of people that scared the shit out of me. And I had to do it because I was on the fucking bill. I was performing with people. I had to fucking... So it made me.
Yeah. But I think consistency and doing things that scare me will help. I think
You also have to understand that there's a limit to that.
I mean things that aren't going to harm me.
Yeah. Because that was,
Gross.
I think I've told you this before. That was my mantra at that time. I am fearless. I am fearless. I am fearless. And I would just say that all the time. However, with my self-destructive personality at the time,
You're like, I'm fucking fearless.
I can do whatever the fuck I want. And I did, and things did not go well.
No, they did not.
So, well, I mean, we've said it before. There was a title of one of the episodes, Fear is the Mind Killer. And Fear Factory said it first off, which, great stuff. But it's true. Like, if we're afraid, then that kills our belief in ourselves.
It really does.
Especially if we allow it to perpetuate.
Yeah.
And if we don't believe in ourselves, we don't like ourselves.
That's very fair and
you know
very
what
true.
I mean? Like, you have to believe in yourself in
Yeah.
order to like yourself. You don't have to like yourself to believe in yourself. I think it's the square and rectangle thing.
Maybe.
Because
I don't know.
I've seen people that know they're pieces of shit, but they know they can do fucking anything. You know,
That's
you
fair.
see what I'm talking about?
That's fair.
And they're just like, no, yeah, everything's fucking, I'm going to do this. I'm going to da-da-da-da-da. And then they do it. And it's just like, how the fuck? And they're just like, yeah, no, I'm cutthroat. I'll go for your fucking jugular, blah, 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 blah. I was like,
Alrighty
okay.
then. Yeah, I think that I have 6 years to change some things about my mind and how I view myself and what I think I deserve. And
You got time.
because I think a lot of this is, or some of it, not a lot, some of it, or a big part outside of the fear, a big part is thinking I deserve to follow a dream or to try something. And that's why
You deserve to do whatever you want to do.
And that's why I'm waiting until the kids are out of school completely. That's the biggest reason, because I would feel so selfish taking away time from the kids. I would feel like a bad mom that I'm taking away from the house, that I'm inconveniencing the rest of the house to follow my dreams.
Which isn't true,
But it would. Not saying that everyone would think that I'm an inconvenience or anything, but it would disrupt the house, and I don't want that.
everything's disrupted the house, and we've had to pivot and figure shit out.
Yeah, that was most shit we couldn't control. This I can control.
I understand that, but it's just another thing.
Yeah, I know. But I do need a little bit to...
No, I get that. And I mean, a lot can change in just 6 months, so
Yeah.
you don't know.
But yeah, I think getting over my fear of living. I don't know. After so much trauma, you're scared of good things. You're scared of trying.
It's Al Bundy shit. So
Yeah.
I've talked about that for years.
But I think that if we stay consistent, that we will like ourselves more, and that we will view ourselves different and do things differently because we see ourselves differently. I don't know.
Takes work.
It does take work. A lot of work.
Doesn't happen overnight.
Nope. Not in the slightest.
It'd be nice, but
Because even in this episode alone, like I know where I've been mentally, way before this, like for the first 38 years of my life. But at least I can stop and look and be like, okay, at least I've made some progress in these areas. But this conversation has made me realize that there's a lot more that I can be doing for myself.
I think that's what we got to do the next episode about then. And then we have to do the exercise for it. Because I think if you can bring up all that stuff and know there's more to work on, you can also bring up stuff and know what you have done.
Yeah, that part is a struggle for me. Looking at
And that's
things
why
that
I want you to take the time to actually write the shit out. And we can do it for the podcast. I still think that's a really good idea.
It is a really good idea. And I think we should.
And I think it could give you the other perspective.
The only part that I struggle with and that I worry about is that voice coming back and
It
not
doesn't
believing.
matter. It doesn't matter. You're putting down fact. You are putting down things that you have done.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what the opinion in your brain is, because that's all it is an opinion. You're putting down fact and things that you have accomplished.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. So, folks, you heard it here. I don't have my shit together.
I don't think that surprises anybody that's ever listened.
No, not.
Neither of us do. We're just working on it.
We are working on it. But I hope that this gives someone out there some hope or something, because we are working through shit all the time. You are not alone in feeling badly about yourself, feeling badly about where you are in life. But just know that, one, you're not alone, and two, everything is temporary and everything can change. The only constant in this life is change. That's the only thing. That and death. But like...
That's change too.
And that's just part of change. So just know that you're not alone. And even for people who may look like they have it all together and have it all figured out, even those kinds of people still struggle with their emotions, keeping their emotions in check, maintaining the amount of self-work it takes to maintain that is a lot. So just know that you can do it. It can be done. And I'm talking to myself kind of too. So just know that if you need someone, reach out. We can try to help find resources. We can be a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen. All kinds of shit. And if it's not us, please find someone you trust. Call someone, find a therapist. There are so many options now for online stuff. I could go on and on and on and on and on. But just know that you're not alone. We're just as fucked up too. But until then, please take care of yourself. Do all the social media shit. You know, this is the stuff I have to do. Do all the social media shit. Grow our show. Help us, please. And just take care of yourself, please. Thank you. Bye. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If you like this episode or know someone who would, please help us grow the show by liking, subscribing, and sharing. Keep up with all episodes on Buzzsprout or anywhere else you get your podcasts.